All right, let's talk strategy. Because today, we are not just talking about grammar. We're talking about how leaders operating in the Spanish-speaking world can wield influence, project confidence, and articulate a clear vision. And believe it or not, it all comes down to mastering one key structure. Let's dive in.
So just think about this for a second. You're in that high-stakes meeting. You're pitching a multi-million-dollar deal, you've got the data, the strategy, everything is lined up, but one small slip of the tongue could make you sound hesitant, or even worse, just not quite up to par. In these moments, perception is absolutely everything.
Now, listen to this sentence. It sounds almost right, doesn't it? And that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. This is one of the most common mistakes English speakers make, and it sends a subtle signal, a tiny crack in your fluency, that can undermine your credibility right when you need it most.
So, how do we fix this for good? Well, we're not going to treat this like a grammar rule you have to memorize. No. We're going to reframe it as a powerful formula for strategic thinking. This is about more than just speaking correctly. It's about structuring your thoughts to plan for any scenario that comes your way.
Now, the technical term for this is the unreal hypothesis, but I want you to think of it as your tool for playing out strategic what-ifs. It's what lets you explore possibilities, evaluate risks, and map out solutions for situations that don't exist yet. Honestly, it's a must-have in any leader's communication toolkit.
And here it is, the formula itself. Think of it like a two-part key to a lock. The first part, your what-if condition, always starts with C and uses a verb tense called the imperfect subjunctive. The second part, the result, uses the simple conditional. Getting this pairing right is the secret to unlocking incredibly powerful hypothetical statements.
And to make this super practical, here is your consultant's cheat sheet. Seriously, these are the verbs you're going to use all the time in business. Tener becomes tuviera in the condition and tendría in the result. Thinking about investment, invertir becomes invertiera and invertiría. This is your quick reference guide to sounding like a total pro.
Okay, enough with the theory. Let's put this formula to work. We're going to look at some examples that are ready for the boardroom so you can see how this becomes a real tool for influence.
Just feel the power of this statement. If the company invested more in R&D, we would be the industry leaders. See? You're not just stating a dry fact, you are painting a vivid picture of a potential future. This is the perfect way to link a specific action, like investment, to a huge strategic payoff.
And here we are, back to our first example, but now it's correct. If we had the budget, we would hire an external agency. Can you hear that immediate shift in tone? It's confident, it's clear, it's professional. This is how you discuss possibilities without ever undermining your own authority. And you know, this structure isn't just for talking about the future. It's also an amazing tool for analyzing past problems. There wouldn't be so many delays if we planned the meetings in advance. This lets you critique a process constructively by presenting a hypothetical, much improved alternative. It's problem solving.
All right, let's make this personal for a moment. What about you? Would you accept the position if they offered you less salary but more vacation? This shows just how essential this is for any kind of negotiation. It lets you explore trade-offs and hypotheticals with complete clarity.
Okay, here's the crucial part. We need to do some risk analysis, because knowing the right formula is really only half the battle. We also have to actively avoid the common traps, the little mistakes that can completely water down your message and dilute your influence. This slide puts the risk right next to the strategy. On the left, that's the common error, using the conditional tense in both parts of the sentence. And on the right, you see the correct strategic way to say it. The difference between tendría and tuviera is literally the difference between sounding like a student and speaking like a leader. If you remember only one thing from our time today, please let it be this. This is the golden rule. The word see, meaning if, is never, ever, ever followed directly by the conditional tense in these sentences. I know your English-speaking brain wants to say, if I would have, but you have to fight that urge. The if part always gets the subjunctive. End of story.
Okay, so let's boil all of this down to the key takeaways. This is what's going to give you an immediate strategic advantage in your very next meeting.
Here it is, your executive summary. First, the condition. Always starts with C and uses the imperfect subjunctive. Second, the result. That's where you use the simple conditional. Third, our golden rule. It is absolutely forbidden to put the conditional right after C. And finally, here's your mental shortcut. Just associate the S in C with the S in subjunctive. It's that simple.
So, I'll leave you with this question, because this is so much more than grammar, right? It's a framework for strategic communication. Now that you have this formula, you can articulate your vision, analyze risk, and propose solutions with so much more power and precision. The only question left is, what strategic scenario will you map out in your next meeting?